Hey guys, Outlaw Curtis here with HoldSquare.com with our next podcast in our series, our season number 1, HoldSquare Nation podcast, episode number 4. Really excited about what we've got going on today. And as always, I'm joined by my partner in crime here, Brett Weiss. Brett, how's it going today?
It's going well. How are you?
Good. We have a couple different ways you can contact us. You can contact me at outlawcurtis@gmail.com. You can also contact me at HoldSquare.com and on our HoldSquare Gaming Facebook page. Brett, how can people contact you?
BrettWeissWords.com, and you can check out my YouTube channel, which is just Brett Weiss.
Okay, awesome. Well, before we get started, I was working on the agenda for this week, and there's so many things going on in the gaming world. One of the reasons we do this on Monday is we like to get your gaming week kicked off with a bang. We like to tell you what's coming out, what we've been playing over the weekend, and just kind of what's going on in general in the gaming world. And when I worked on the agenda today, initially we would have had about a 3-hour broadcast. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff.
I can't sit by you for 3 hours. Sorry.
Yeah, one hour is about the limit of what we can handle. Sitting next to each other.
My nose can only take so much.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. All factory senses.
Right. Exactly. No, I understand. Yeah. Well, before we get started and get into the agenda for this week, I want to kind of walk back a couple of comments I had from last week. Now, for those of you that tuned in last week, and those of you that know me know that I'm a really big Star Wars fan, and I talked about my fictional idol being Darth Vader and how I've always admired Darth Vader.
Right.
And my sister Amanda took exception with one or two of my comments, especially one where I said that I like Darth Vader because he made some mistakes. And then came back and was good at the end.
Right.
Let me just clarify that I feel like murdering children is more than a mistake. That's definitely a major...
And you don't get a pass just because you're, older men, they'll get a heart attack and then suddenly they're nice.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You don't get a pass on murdering children
exploding
planets.
Murdering younglings, exploding planets, right. Attacking your best friend, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You don't really get a pass on that. So let me just say I like him because he's a complex character. Mm-hmm. Not straight good, not straight evil, but he had his ups and downs.
Mostly evil.
Yeah.
But he did say no. When,
right. Was it 60-40 evil to good? Or what?
I'd say about 99-1.
No, I don't buy that because his son can always feel good in him. I just think he had some pervasive demons.
Well, but that helps you sleep at night.
Whatever.
Go ahead.
Whatever
Right.
helps me sleep at night.
Right.
Okay, so normally whenever we broadcast this, we do this at Brett's house in his awesome game room here, as you can see, where he's got all of his games and his old systems and NESs and Sega Genesis and all this other kind of stuff.
Genocide?
Genocide?
Okay, whatever.
Genesis. It's not like cacti.
Right, okay.
Anyway, we usually tape this around lunchtime so that I can get it up on our website and our YouTube channel by the end of the evening so people can kind of hit it when they get off work and stuff like that. So normally I bring my lunch with me. So if you hear my stomach growling, I brought my lunch with me today, but I didn't have time to eat it because we were setting up and everything like that. Are you a Hot Pocket guy?
I prefer natural foods that don't have like a million ingredients, but thanks for offering.
I prefer tasty and easy things. So I don't know if you like surprises or not, but the fun little game I like to play is called Hot Pocket Roulette. You ever play Hot Pocket Roulette or?
No.
Yeah.
I've eaten one, a few, but
right,
no.
Right. Well, the great thing about Hot Pockets
is that lean pocket. I've had a couple of those.
The lean pocket. That's even more disgusting. Just so you know, that's worse.
Probably no better for you.
It is not at all. And
right.
and Jim Gaffigan has a great routine about Hot Pockets. Okay. If anyone wants to see something funny, they can YouTube that. But anyway, so they all pretty much look the same from the outside, and I love surprises. So what I do is I buy 4 or 5 different varieties, and they don't say on the individual package what they are. So you kind of just dump them all in the freezer, and then you pull one out, and then you don't know if you're going to get steak and cheese.
So exciting.
Yeah, right. Is it going to be pepperoni pizza? Is it going to be meatball?
Do you do that with Pop-Tarts too? Because it's all just silver on the outside. You can
No.
Give me a new idea.
Pop-Tarts are different. They have a lot of them have frosting on it and stuff that gives it away.
No,
so
it's silver wrapping. You don't know what's inside.
Yeah, but
just throw
isn't on the silver wrapping, doesn't it say on
Some of them will have different things, but some of them are just solid silver, and you can just throw them all in and mix up.
Are they?
Because when we go on vacation and just dump a bunch in the bag, we're like, I don't know what this is.
Well, see, the nice thing about Hot Pockets, too, is that it takes 2 minutes to heat up in the microwave. So about a minute in, you start to smell it, and you can start to narrow it down from there. So you have two distinct smells. If you smell the tomato sauce, okay, it's going to be pepperoni pizza. It's going to be meatball marinara, something like that. If you smell kind of the beefier smell, it's going to be steak and cheese. It's going to be cheeseburger.
Or you farted.
Like that.
One or the other.
I don't do that. Sir.
Okay. Oh,
you may, but I don't do that. But anyway, so I brought this with me. I'm going to have to eat this afterwards. But anyway, I don't know what you've been playing over the weekend, what you've been doing over the weekend.
Not Hot Pocket Roulette.
Was it not Hot Pocket Roulette?
No, that's not what I've been playing.
That's a daily.
I've been playing more Star Fox Zero.
Star Fox Zero?
Yeah,
okay,
really cool.
How is that, by the way?
It's a great game. I have some control issues. There's a ground-based vehicle that's new to the series that's sort of kind of like a tank that goes fast. The controls are a little iffy on it, but overall, so far, it's a really cool game.
Overall, pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've been playing a couple different things. A couple of betas, first of all. The Doom beta, which is an open beta now, comes out next month. The full game comes out. But I've really enjoyed it. Very fast, very frenetic pace of these multiplayer games. And obviously with Doom being around forever, this is a real callback to, some of the early days of gaming.
Right. 1993, the original Doom came out by id Software. It had cutting-edge 3D graphics. It popularized the first-person shooter genre because the year before, Wolfenstein 3D came out in '92.
Wolfenstein, man.
Yeah, and it was inspired by Castle Wolfenstein.
Right.
So, Doom originally was distributed through shareware and through mail order. It got super popular, so it was created as, on retail. It was put on retail shelves for a variety of computers and consoles. I've got Doom 3 for the Xbox and original Xbox. Pretty cool game, a little dark, but GameStop was blowing them out for $9.99, the collector's edition, so I grabbed it.
And you're always in the You're always in the bin.
I don't even look at the new stuff. I just go directly for the clearance bin.
Right, the clearance bin.
Ooh, I can put this in my collection. Ooh.
Speaking of Doom, though, it was nowadays first-person shooters are a dime a dozen.
Yeah,
right.
Easily the most popular genre. I mean, more popular than racing or football or anything. I think FPS is the most popular
you just rattle
genre.
them off: Call of Duty, Destiny,
Right.
Battlefield, Battleborn,
Right.
and Battlefield, as well as Borderlands and Halo on the Xbox. You mentioned and stuff. So Doom was really groundbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, and helping get that to that point, because when Doom came out, there was only one or two other ones.
And as a matter of fact, first-person shooters before Wolfenstein 3D, what we used to call first-person shooters was something entirely different. They would typically be outer space shooters where you saw through the cockpit of your ship.
Right.
Where you just see like a gun sight going around a star field.
Right.
Games like Star Raiders and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That was a first-person shooter because you didn't see your ship, you saw the gun sight in outer space. Well, in Wolfenstein 3D and Doom, suddenly first-person shooters were something else entirely.
Right. Well, the Doom beta is great. I've really enjoyed it. It's really fast, really frenetic. If you like those quick twitch shooters like Call of Duty and Destiny, some of those multiplayer games, you're going to like it. There's power-ups all over the map, and it's a very vertical map too, where there's jump pads and things to get you to different levels and stuff. Lots of great weapons and stuff. So it's definitely going to be great. The Battleborn beta is closing down. And that's been going on for 10 days now. That's really going to be a great game. I've really loved that. I don't know how you are if you ever play a beta or not. A lot of people are still really playing hours into these betas. I'm the type of person where I play the beta long enough to develop an opinion on it. And then once I develop an opinion on it, I'm like, either I want to buy this game, it's a good game, or it's garbage, I don't want to buy it.
Right.
And then once it's just like test driving a car. I test drive it long enough to decide if I'm going to buy the car or not. And so I've decided both of these are definitely going to be good games, Doom and Battleborn. And anyone looking for good first-person shooters, especially with the science fiction aspect and stuff, is really going to like these, I think.
Right.
So
It's cool.
But anyway, the other game that's really been consuming my time is Dark Souls 3. We talked about Dark Souls 3 a couple times, and it's an amazing game. Not only playing it by yourself, but playing it multiplayer, the invasion system, being able to invade other people's worlds, having people invade your world. And it is hard. It's very hard. Just like the other Souls games, it might be the hardest in the whole series. But the thing I keep coming back to is every time I boot up this game, you walk through and from a design element, you just think about this game is so wonderfully designed. Why can't other developers do this? Why isn't every game this amazing? And the list is short, as far as I'm concerned, of the top-notch developers out there. I mean, you're talking about Naughty Dog, you're talking about Gearbox, you're talking about From Software, Rockstar maybe with Grand Theft Auto.
You got to put Nintendo up there, of course.
Nintendo,
that almost goes without saying.
Yeah, yeah. Nintendo,
it's almost like a separate.
Nintendo's a pretty good developer.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good little company.
Not pretty good little company. You know, they do pretty good. You know,
pretty
what Mario,
company.
Zelda, and stuff. You know, not
yada
bad,
yada yada.
Yeah, yada yada yada. So anyway, but so Dark Souls 3 is one that's just consuming me right now, and I was actually trying a boss fight out on my second character, my pyromancer, my flame guy. And I was just going over and over, you know, trying to beat this one boss, and he just continually worked me over. And I was playing a lot this weekend with two great members of our community, Belazamon and Merrick, and I play with them quite a bit on Dark Souls. And Belazamon, a.k.a. Mike, said the perfect thing about this game, is that every single enemy you run into, you got to treat it like a boss fight. And that's exactly it, because if you walk into one area with one weak-looking enemy and you take him too lightly and you do not block and roll and do all those things, you will get taken out.
No simple button mashing.
There is no. This is not a button masher.
Right.
You've got to learn how to.
Strategy with
you've got to
battle.
learn how to block and parry and roll and dodge and strike when the time is right to strike. Use your potions. Use your magic in good ways. You just cannot walk into rooms and mash buttons because you will last 10 seconds. And that's one of the things I love about it. I don't want every game to be that way.
Right.
I mean, some games you want to kick back and, like we were talking about, Burger Time or. You know,
Burger Time is brutally difficult.
I know.
Let's not use that example.
I keep hitting Burger Time.
Let's use, say, Super Mario Maker.
Super Mario Maker.
You can just kind of kick back and and there's some difficult levels, but you can play easier ones. You know.
Okay.
Basically, a side-scrolling platformer or even a 3D third-person platformer. You can just kind of kick back and explore the world a little bit.
My palate cleanser these days is Minecraft. That's my sorbet. That clears the palate before the next thing. So you get in there. It's a very social game. It's relaxing. You build a tree house and you mine for some diamonds, and you can turn off the mob so you don't have any enemies. So yeah, it's
just kind of chill.
It's very relaxing. Something else that I find very relaxing. Are you a wedding guy? You go to a lot of weddings?
When my wife makes me. I went to mine, and I was a best man in my friend's wedding many decades ago, and, occasionally.
I keep thinking that a Reaper's going to get married someday, and I'm going to be asked to be best man. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well,
you might be part of it. Like you might be like on the serving line or something. I don't know about a best man.
I can be an usher or something. I'll do anything as long as
they let you in the building.
Let me in the building, right? So
parking lot security.
When you think about, I want to be inside the building.
Oh, okay.
Parking lot. Anybody can do that. So when you think of famous weddings in history, what do you think about? I mean.
I pretty much don't.
You don't at all?
Nothing
comes to mind. You're a smart guy. Come on, you know. Princess Di and Charles. That was the wedding.
I know of those, but I don't think of them.
What comes to mind?
People get married. My wedding.
Your wedding was pretty.
My wife makes me focus on our wedding. Beyond that.
Well, there have been a lot of famous historical weddings. Mark Antony and Cleopatra.
Right.
Napoleon Bonaparte, Josephine. Right. Princess Di and Charles. That was a big one.
Right.
Prince William lately getting married. Dare I say last night, perhaps the wedding of maybe the millennium, but certainly the century took place. Last night on Twitch, thanks to Figor, shout out to Figor for one of our members for broadcasting this.
Sorry.
What? You don't like...
I need to fiddle, act like I'm doing something.
Act like you're doing something? Okay. But that's why I have it. You can't take mine. Don't you have 2 pens?
Right.
Yeah. Shuffle your papers, right? But anyway, last night, Figor... broadcast on Twitch a live feed of what I think is now the wedding of the century between 2 of our members, World Rounder and Zaplow. Brandon.
These are real people.
Those are their PSN IDs.
Okay, right.
Brandon and Zach. Those are their names. They got married in Final Fantasy in what I felt like was a very touching ceremony.
Brandon and Zach. Was this a gay wedding?
It was. To my knowledge, they are not homosexual. They're friends in real life.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, to quote Seinfeld. Right. There's anything wrong with that. But they got married in what was a really beautiful, touching ceremony to me. Brought a real tear to my eye, and it's very very sweet. And what it made me think about was the fact of how far video games have come. Now, like in Final Fantasy, right? Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm.
You can date, you can get married, you can have children, you have your own houses and all these other kind of things. And going back to the days of adventure and Zelda and these other games, where RPGs like that were just starting out. It's just amazing the social aspect now you can do.
Yeah, it's Adventure for the Atari 2600 came out in '79, and it wasn't a true RPG because there weren't hit points.
Right.
You couldn't develop your character.
You couldn't develop your character, so it wasn't an RPG.
You could pick up a sword and slay a dragon, but you basically just touched him with it, and you couldn't get like power-up weapons or anything like that. And
you didn't grow a character. That's what an RPG really is, role-playing.
But some people call it like an action RPG, but it's really an adventure game.
Right.
And then, it was Warren Robinette developed it for the Atari 2600. He programmed his name into the game.
Right.
As the first, Easter egg in a console video game. And he did that because he wasn't getting the respect from Atari that he thought he was afforded.
You put that that was in your book, right?
Yeah, the 100 greatest console video games.
Yeah.
Available at Amazon.com.
Which I love that book, by the way.
I've
read it a couple of times. It's great. If you love all that kind of stuff about the development and the anecdotal stories about how this happened and how that happened and what was going on behind the scenes.
Well, thank you. It was a fun book to write. Yeah. And so Adventure, he was inspired to do Adventure based on the previous text-only games for computers.
Only, right, yeah, on Commodore 64 and all that stuff.
Where you just sort of input commands.
Right, yeah, you put in commands and then it came out on text with some crazy little pixelated, maybe image or something even or something like that.
And then by the time you
asterisk stacked on something and whatever, stuff like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And truly only nerds played it. I mean, now anybody's a gamer.
I know nothing about it. I mean, I know I sound like I may have played it, but no. These
even hot women game now.
Right, yeah.
I mean, there are hot women gamers. That was not a thing in like the 70s. No offense to anybody a female that was
no offense to Jordan
or
Gracie or anything. Yeah,
well, she wasn't around in the 70s, so it
Brewski or any of those.
Yeah,
No,
they weren't around in the 70s, so it doesn't.
Right,
they don't count.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but
just guys like you.
Yeah, you had to be. I was a console guy. Anyway, I just like the action games. I wasn't into all the text adventures or all that stuff.
Speaking of that, back in the day, I saw the other day on Facebook the picture of you with the legendary mullet. I think we need to bring that out for a podcast.
I had a pretty good mane.
You had this.
Right. When I got married, as a matter of fact, speaking of that, big old mane. It was very embarrassing. Yeah, but self-deprecating humor is
show and tell maybe next week or something.
Right. So I could bring my mullet. Sure. But by the time you got to Legend of Zelda for the NES in 1987, it was an RPG, an action-oriented RPG.
Right.
The sword play had obviously progressed tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
And I have something embarrassing to say about The Legend of Zelda. Okay, Legend of Zelda came out in 1987, and I got my NES for my birthday in 1986. My brother, Scott, got it for me. For some strange reason, he bought me an NES for my birthday, which was totally awesome.
Yeah, really.
So I had an 86.
Is this your older brother, younger brother?
Older brother.
How?
He's 4 years older than me.
Okay, so like kind of his own money kind of deal. Like he
he was in college.
It wasn't just mom and dad bought it and put his name on it.
It wasn't a bribe.
He reached into his pockets.
He got me a NES. I think it was to make up for some of
the years of
abuse.
The head bashing and whatnot.
But we played a lot of basketball and dug in dirt. We had a lot of fun, but there always had to be violence involved somehow.
But
anyway,
you're brothers. That's the way it works.
Yeah, in 1987 or 1986, he got me an NES, so Super Mario Brothers, etc., etc. 87 got Legend of Zelda, gold cartridge, etc. Amazing, incredible game. I got to the end, never quite finished it, didn't beat the final boss, Ganon and all that. Anyway, I was used to playing video games where you had the stereo, back in the days of Atari and Intellivision, all that stuff. You'd play the game for a while, you'd listen to the music if it had any, and the sound effects. Cool, some of them sounded good, some of them not sounded good.
Sure.
But once you've been playing it for a few hours, it gets a little monotonous because it's, a limited palette for musically.
Right.
So I would crank up the stereo,
It's the same tune every 10 seconds. Just rotating. And after a while, you're
tired of the
like,
same sound effects, too.
Right.
So I'd crank on some Kiss or, Black Sabbath or Ozzy or ZZ Top or whatever.
Good stuff.
Crank that up. Well, by the time Legend of Zelda came along, I was still in that mindset of cranking up the stereo.
Can't do
Obviously, Legend of Zelda has great music,
yeah,
and you need to listen to the sound effects. It's just a cool game. You wouldn't hear it, but still, I would put on some music. I was just kind of into that.
I think I see where this is going.
Well, no, you don't.
I feel like I do.
No.
You don't think
unless you read my notes.
I didn't read your notes. Who could read that? Right handwriting.
Chicken scratch.
Yeah, I can't translate that.
For some reason, I don't know if it's my advancing years. I was 21 by this time, or 20.
Yeah.
John Denver's greatest hits went beautifully with The Legend of Zelda. I don't have any idea why.
You're absolutely right. I did not see.
So I'd play The
that
Legend of
coming at all.
Zelda, and on my turntable, I'd put on John Denver's Greatest Hits, and I'd pause it and turn the record over and listen to it. So I don't know.
If you had given me 100 guesses, I would not have gotten that.
If you
I thought you were going to say something like you were playing music and then you weren't hearing audio cues you needed to hear in the game, and so you couldn't do a certain area because you kept missing audio cues.
Nah. You can still play Zelda with sound off.
It was John Denver was your...
That was my go-to soundtrack for Zelda. Try it.
Anyway,
Grandma's feather bed. It goes perfectly with it.
Well,
anyway,
I talked about Hot Pockets,
but
for
I
a minute,
digress.
so you can talk about John Denver.
Anyway,
for
so
a minute,
RPGs have come a long way. As a matter of fact, so you were saying RPGs have actually incorporated like Sims elements where you can...
Yes, yeah, it's and that's I think why so many people now take these games so much more seriously a lot of times, because it's almost a virtual reality type of environment, and people kind of get lost in it sometimes and sucked into it in a way that, you know, as awesome as Mr. Do is, you don't ever suspend reality and feel like you're in Mr.
You don't feel like you're a clown harvesting cherries.
Right, you don't feel like you are Mr. Do, essentially.
Burst my bubble.
Is that a shocker? There's no Santa Claus, too.
Let's do that without touching.
I felt like you needed to be consoled there for a minute.
Yeah, just for a second. Yeah, so yeah,
no, but that's
one thing video games have over past video games. They're so immersive. I mean, if that's what you're looking for,
that's the perfect word. Is that?
I mean, if you have a job you hate, if your wife's an old hag,
you can totally just go right into it and just forget about everything.
Luckily,
else,
my wife is incredible. I just thought I'd point that out.
Oh, she is, and you totally don't deserve her. Let's just be honest about that. So
there's no question I'm married up. There is no question about that.
Like 3 or 4 steps
at
up.
least.
So you know.
I leveled up.
Right, you did level up. Like an RPG. You leveled yourself up. You cut the mullet. You got rid of the glasses. You leveled yourself up.
Quit smoking dope.
You quit.
Actually, I'd kind of done that before then.
Yeah, well,
that's good.
We'll leave this in. We'll leave it good. Okay, so another thing that kind of happened this week, aside from the wedding of the century, which, again, I'm very happy for Brandon and Zach. I think you guys know that, and my best wishes to you guys in the future. But Red Dead Redemption 2, okay? May 2010, Red Dead Redemption comes out. It was a sequel to Red Dead Revolver in 2004. Amazing, amazing game. And Red Dead Redemption in 2010, the Reaper started in 2010. Our very first website was a Red Dead Redemption themed website.
Sweet.
At the time, we didn't have HoldSquare. It wasn't called HoldSquare. We were just the PS3 Reapers. And our very first website, after we all met playing Borderlands, was RedDeadReapers.com, because I thought the Reapers tagline sounded cool with Red Dead, and we were all playing Red Dead. It was a Western theme, like parchment-looking website with the wanted poster looking on it and Red Dead Reapers and stuff. So that's kind of how we started. So I always have a special place in my heart for Red Dead, and we've always wanted a sequel to Red Dead Redemption. It's been talked about for years. This week, finally, it was confirmed by NeoGAF as well as a couple other websites that there was a leak of a Red Dead Redemption 2 map. And I actually printed this off. I actually put this on the website as well. So look at our front page at HoldSquare.com. You can see high-res images of this. But you can see right here, this is the actual map that was leaked for the new Red Dead Redemption 2, and it has been confirmed by a couple of sources within Rockstar. And you can kind of see here, Brett, the map of what looks like is going to be the game that's hopefully going to be announced at E3 this year.
It found on one of Hillary's emails, right?
Yeah, something like that, pretty much. But one difference, and you can kind of see a fan put together the Red Dead Redemption 2 map with the Red Dead Redemption 1 map to see where they go in proximity to each other.
You got to love the dedication of fans.
Oh my gosh.
That's the thing that never ceases to amaze me about this hobby.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love about this hobby is the dedication of fans. I mean, I'll just sit here and play a game while meanwhile someone over here far more creative than me is like creating this like hack of this game.
Right, or this mod of this game or something.
Or they're creating a Lego version of this game.
Yeah, or a Star Wars version of Dig Dug or just something
doing
crazy.
Something outside of the box like that. Yeah. That's so cool.
It's really amazing. But so supposedly Red Dead Redemption 2 is supposed to be a prequel to the events of Red Dead 1. Now in Red Dead 1, James Marsden, former outlaw, now has tried to go straight. He's tried to be an upstanding citizen. His wife and child are in trouble, and now he has to hunt down members of his former outlaw gang. And it's a great story. It was a lot of people's game of the year in 2010.
Well, I played Red Dead Revolver on the PS2 and really enjoyed that a lot. I mean, I love the Western genre.
Oh my gosh.
So
and it's
cool.
something that has not been You've got Call of Juarez, which also is done in the West, but not a lot of really good Western games. And I've just always thought it's something that was really underutilized. And gunfighters and saloons. And
one of the very first video games I ever played in my entire life was Midway's Gunfight that came out for the arcades in 1975. I was at a bowling alley or a skating rink or somewhere when I was a kid with my parents and everything.
Right.
I walked up to I'd kind of played Pong a little bit, and I'd played the home console Pong, things like that around this time, 75, 76. Walked up, Midway's Gunfight. It's a one-on-one battle, 2 cowboys, and there's like a stagecoach or something in the middle, and you're duking it out.
Draw at high noon, all that stuff.
Right.
Did you hustle at that one too, like you did at pinball machines?
What? I don't think you can hustle at that game.
Can't really hustle at that one?
No, you pretty much just shoot each other. And then I wasn't good enough at a game yet to act like I was bad, and then so no, I wasn't hustling yet, not yet. I think I was about 10 or 12 before I started really getting my hustle on.
Well, that's good. But you still started pretty young, pretty early.
Right.
Well, the cool thing about Red Dead, and again, on our front page of our website at HoldSquare.com, you can look right now at high resolution versions of these maps. But you can see right here in this map, okay, Red Dead 1 did not have a lot of water in it. Red Dead 2 looks like it's right against the ocean. There's some islands here that are named, which leads you to believe there may be some additions to the architecture and to the game development of Red Dead Redemption 2, like possibly a boat mechanic, wherever you can go on boats and travel, or maybe even swimming now that could be in it. So there's a lot of things that we can tell from these maps, and hopefully we get an announcement on it, because when you talk about Red Dead, you're essentially talking about Grand Theft Auto in a Western environment. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto
on a horse.
Yeah, Grand Theft Horse. Exactly.
Right.
So, and Rockstar, again, is one of those just seminal companies that just, in my opinion, just can't do anything wrong. So that was really something exciting that came out this week. So also coming out this week, and we always got to talk about what's coming out on the PSN. And it's really a neat tie-in this week with a lot of your passions, because this week we've got this arcade series that's coming out to the PSN. 4 games are coming out as part of this, okay? So starting tomorrow, Tuesday, on the PSN, you can purchase, and we don't have pricing information yet. I'm assuming it's only going to be a few dollars per game. I mean, it can only be $4 or $5.
Yeah, those crappy old games.
Those crappy old games, in 2-bit graphics and stuff. We don't charge money for those, but surely you can't it can't be too expensive. Maybe you buy the whole pack for $20 or something like that. But basically, Dig Dug, Galaga, Miss Pac-Man, and Pac-Man are all going to be available now on PS4 for the first time.
Excellent. 3 of the greatest 4 games of all time.
Right. You basically can't stand Dig Dug because he conflicts
That's not even
with Mr.
remotely
Do.
True.
That is totally true.
I love Dig Dug.
Really? So what's
Absolutely.
what's the one that's not the?
No, they're all 4 of them are great. Pac-Man, I got a little burnout on when it first came out. I mean, I played the heck out of the original Pac-Man in the arcades. So to me, I've got the sequels I like better, like Miss Pac-Man and Super Pac-Man and Junior Pac-Man. Some of the sequels I like better than Pac-Man. But no, those are all phenomenal.
You say in your 100 greatest video games book that Mr. Do is like your favorite game of all time.
Favorite game of all time.
And Mr. Do is a cheap Dig Dug knockoff. So you are so.
I have to punch you so hard.
I said that just to see what I could.
It was inspired by Dig Dug. Perhaps.
Inspired.
Some say they were in development at the same time.
Some say that.
Yes, but most likely it was inspired by Dig Dug. Dig Dug came out first.
So Mr. Do perfected the Dig Dug formula, is what you're saying.
Dig Dug is phenomenal. It's a great game. You dig underground, tons of strategies. It's like a maze game, but you dig your own pathways.
Yeah, you dig your own maze.
And there's so many. What I like about it better than Pac-Man and games like that is there's so much more. Every game is different because you're digging your own tunnels.
Right.
Way more strategies. And Mr. Do sort of opened up that instead of it's without going into too much depth on it.
Right.
It's just another great game where you dig underground and you throw a ball, like you have a shooting implement instead of like a shovel.
Yeah.
And so there's some differences.
But Dig Dug has a gun that you inflate enemies with.
Yeah,
right?
you pump them up.
Yeah, you pump them up and then
and they explode.
The pump or whatever.
Yeah, and you drop rocks on enemies as well. Well, in Mr. Do, you can push apples, so you can move around. The apples serve the same purpose as the rocks,
thing, right?
But you can move them around the playfield.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And the ball you shoot, Mr. Do, can go all around the playfield when you don't have it. So you're on the run and you're waiting for the ball to come back if it doesn't already hit an enemy.
Gotcha.
So there's just a little more strategy to Dig Dug, but they're both great games.
Right.
Obviously, Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man are phenomenal. Games.
I'm with you. I liked Miss Pac-Man a little better than Pac-Man
4 mazes, more intelligent enemy AI.
Yep.
Faster gameplay.
And we've shown in past you've actually got a Galaga machine.
I've got a Galaga.
Sitting
Yeah.
here, so-
My son and I made an epic trip to Oklahoma to pick it up. My friend was moving. Our car even broke down on the way. Grabbed Galaga, brought it home. I'll have to tell you about it
That's
sometime.
commitment
It was
for
a great-
Galaga. But
yeah.
having Galaga on PS4, it's going to be really cool to have some of these games. So those are coming to the PSN store on Tuesday. And speaking of old school stuff, you wanted to talk a little bit about some Intellivision stuff that you were kind of looking at.
Yeah, I grew up in the era of Atari 2600 and television and all that. All my friends, everybody I knew had one game, Odyssey 2, Atari and television, whatever. So whoever's house
Odyssey
you went
2,
to,
man, gosh. that
most
brings back-
in those days, people didn't have two systems sitting by each other at the TV.
No.
They had one.
You had one, yeah.
So you had the Atari or you had the Intellivision. If you got an Intellivision as an upgrade over your Atari, the Atari went in the garage sale or in the closet.
Right.
For some reason, it just wasn't in people's heads
Yeah,
to
to have two sitting
systems.
next to each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
So-
had to. Well, the TVs back then too. You had them hooked into the screws, and you had the screws.
And
that
the
were-
parents
and
were
it
an
was-
issue. They didn't want you having two
Yeah,
systems
because
in the
it was
living
bad
room.
enough you had one,
Yeah.
and that was rotting your brain on
And if-
one level, and if you
right.
had two, it would go up by a factor of two. So
If you were
yeah.
lucky, you had a TV in your bedroom that you could hook your console to. But
I had
most
the,
people
I had the
didn't
little
have that.
I had the little black and white like 5-inch screen with the radio built into it. That's the one
Nice.
I was working with.
Well-
yeah, and I thought I was big time for having that
Right.
because
Well, the-
other friends of mine didn't have theirs.
Atari 2600 had a switch on it. Are you playing on a color TV or are you playing
Right,
on a
right,
black
yeah.
and white TV? So anyway, I grew up in the area of the Atari and television. Well, the television I liked a lot, but the most popular games on it were for the most part, were the sports games. Really in-depth adaptations of NFL football, NBA basketball, Major League Baseball. They actually got the licensing. PBA bowling. PBA bowling is actually in the 100 Greatest book because it holds up so well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kind of options, lane, slickness, and all that.
Sure.
Anyway, we were talking about Dig Dug a minute
Yeah.
ago. Dig Dug for the Intellivision. I've got a boxed complete copy. Very, very rare, very hard to find.
So awesome.
Probably about $50-$60 online, if you've got it on eBay.
50 or $60. That's a brand new PS4 game.
Right, exactly.
Brand new
yeah, so it's the
PS4.
same.
Yeah,
A complete
very
PS
similar,
game,
yeah.
a complete
Right.
Intellivision game.
Yeah,
It's the same
very
difference.
similar,
So it's
very
really not that expensive.
Right.
So anyway, but I got this at Vintage Stock in Oklahoma for 99 cents. Because sometimes they will, with their older games and television Atari, they'll just shove them all. Like they'll red flag some that are valuable,
Right.
And they'll put them in glass. But sometimes some slip through. They had this on the shelf for 99 cents, so I grabbed it. Anyway, so what's
99 cents. God.
this is a pretty good adaptation of Dig Dug, but what's really cool about it is it's got an Easter egg in it called Deadly Dogs, and that's basically a Tron Deadly Discs clone with Burger Time characters. So instead of like men in the game,
Right.
you've got the hot dogs from Burger Time. So anyway, that's just a little Easter egg. Google Intellivision Deadly Dogs, and you can find the code you need to enter
Right,
to
right.
have a hidden game.
Right.
So anyway, I thought I'd talk about the Intellivision a little bit today. The Intellivision came out was test marketed in 1979.
Right.
And then they brought it to wide release in 1980. You probably remember the big brown console with the wired-in
Oh,
disc
yeah.
controllers.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, I thought I'd show, just for maybe some Reapers who haven't seen it,
Yeah, yeah.
the Intellivision 2. This came out a little later, and it's a white console.
Burger Time there.
Burger Time included with Las Vegas Blackjack and Poker was included with the original Intellivision, which was a
Wow.
pretty good game, but
Right.
not a killer app.
Right.
Burger Time is a killer app. Great game. The Intellivision 2, you can unplug the controllers, and it has a little light for the on and off reset button and everything. So there's some minor differences. You cannot play Coleco brand Intellivision games on the Intellivision 2. That's one drawback to it. It's just, there's
Why?
there's a technical reason that I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
And
I didn't know if it's some kind of licensing or some kind of crazy...
I honestly don't remember off the top of my head. I just remember that you cannot play. I'm sure I've wrote it somewhere why, but
It's
you'll
been
have to
so
read my
much is
books
up
for
there.
that.
It's been in there.
Something
Yeah.
has to squeeze out my ear every once in a while.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, so you cannot play Coleco brand on it, but it's a really cool system, and I highly recommend the Intellivision. Now, some of my favorite Intellivision games are not the sports games.
Right.
They're awesome, but that's not my favorite genre.
Right.
I'm a big fan of pick up and play action games, if I've spoken of before.
Right.
Again, you've got Burger Time.
Oh, yeah.
Great climbing game, very difficult. Worm Whopper, which you may not have heard of.
I have not.
It's sort of Sideways Centipede.
Sideways Centipede. Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, check out the cover. It's
Very cool.
Yeah, do you recognize the art?
Yes. Oh, of course I do. Yes.
Instruct us.
Famous painting. Now, whenever I look at this painting, I think of you and your wife's
American Gothic.
Yes,
we actually went to this house.
That's what I think of.
We were going to Iowa for a video game event. That what can we do while we're in Iowa?
Right.
So we went to the American Gothic house.
There's tons of stuff in Iowa to do, right? Or no? There's like
we
three
had a
things.
great time. That's all I'm going to say.
There's like
We
three
found
things
some
to
things
do.
to do. I'll put
Right.
it that way.
Okay.
It was cool.
Well, no more details.
Diner for the Intellivision. It's very hard to find in the box.
Right.
Very rare title. It's actual
Right.
console sequel to Burger Time.
Right.
There was an arcade sequel to Burger Time called like Peter's. I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. Again, stuff squeezes out there.
Right, yeah.
There's been different sequels to Burger Time, but this was the first console sequel to Burger Time. Diner.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent game. 15 screens, which was a ton back then.
Oh my gosh.
In the 1980s.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You climb ladders, you kick these meatballs into enemies and stuff. It's quite a bit different than Burger Time, but it's really cool. Tons of fun. So there's some also like Astro Smash, and there's a lot of great games for the Intellivision. And one thing that's super cool about the Intellivision, and one thing that's incredible about the retro gaming in general, homebrews. People in their garages, their offices, or their small offices, whatever, are coming out with new games for old consoles.
I still can't believe that this is a thing, that people are coming out with brand new games, homebrew games for
It's
Intellivision.
incredible.
It's amazing.
And a lot of them are putting them with very professional style boxes, manuals, and even like keypad overlays.
And where do you buy this stuff?
You
You
buy
don't
these
you don't
on-
go into GameStop and buy.
Well, you can go to
these.
AtariAge.com.
Okay.
They have a lot. GoodDealGames.com has some of them. There's different websites, and you buy them online, and you can buy them at gaming conventions. Like you
And
go to some of the
conventions,
bigger
yeah.
cons, like you might find them there. D2K Arcade was really cool. It's a Donkey Kong game for the Intellivision that has more screens and different characters and
So
more
what kind
levels.
of licensing issues do homebrew people get if they
This one is a
use-
little complex because it does use some Donkey Kong elements. This we'll have to Google because it's way too complex to get into.
Right,
It would
right,
take
right.
the rest of the thing.
Right.
Space Raid for Intellivision is
Right.
basically Zaxxon for the Intellivision.
Zaxxon.
Very cool game. The original Zaxxon for the television is pretty terrible. It's not even the same type of game, but
Right.
this pretty much corrects that.
That's cool.
That's from CollectorVision. Shout out to John Gamester81. He's a real popular YouTube celeb. He works for CollectorVision.
Wow.
Really cool guy. We do a podcast together called ColecoVision's Podcast.
Oh yeah, ColecoVision
Yeah.
podcast. Yep.
Christmas Carol. That is by Left Turn Only. Phenomenal game inspired by Pac-Man with Christmas graphics. Incredible game.
Pac-Man
Truly
with Christmas
phenomenal.
graphics.
Pretty much. I mean, there's more to
Yeah.
it than that, but
Yeah.
it's a great game.
No, that sums it up.
Sydney Hunter and the Shrines of Peril, which is basically Smurf rescuing Gargamel's castle for the Intellivision. That was an old ColecoVision game that didn't come out for the Intellivision. But now you can have it with like Pitfall or adventure type graphics. Really cool.
That is crazy.
This is probably one of my 2 or 3 favorite homebrews of all time.
Right.
It's Moon Patrol with planets.
Moon Patrol. Okay.
So not only are you on the moon, you actually go to different planets and travel along those as well. It's a shooter. It's a side-scrolling shooter where you're driving a moon buggy along the surface of the planet. You shoot up. You shoot straight ahead. This actually adds planets, so you're not just on the moon. So it's
Wow.
incredible. And I got a couple others here. Brickout, which was originally unreleased,
yeah.
so they've come out with it.
Mhm.
It's like Breakout,
Right.
as you can see by the Brickout. You know?
Yeah. Right.
And then Copter Command, which is basically Chopper Command,
Right.
which was an old computer game. Then that was put on. It's a side-scrolling shooter as well. That was also put on the ColecoVision and a bunch of other consoles. Anyway, love the homebrew scene. If you just Google Intellivision homebrew games, you can find where to buy all these.
Yeah, that's
And,
really cool.
oh, it's
That's
incredible.
amazing.
And if you're just a casual retro gamer
Right.
and you don't want to, figure out how to hook these systems up to new TVs,
Right.
or you don't want to buy an old CRT TV at a garage sale
Yeah,
and
have
find
to
out
go to
what
garage
to do,
sales and all that
and
stuff.
you don't want to spend $30 to $60 a piece on homebrew games, things
Sure.
like that.
Now this is what I want to get. This is cool.
This is a cinch.
That's awesome.
You can hook this up to a modern TV, and it's an Intellivision flashback. They were originally, I think, $40, and of course I waited until they came down in price to get
Yeah.
mine.
Because that's the way you roll.
Yeah. Now I see them, for $10. Just depending on where you go to look. Some places are like for a long time they're readily available at Walmart and Sam's and places like that. And I'm not sure the current availability, but they're still new, and you can still find them easily.
Well, and even what a cool way to, I mean, even if you're wanting your kids to kind of see what you played with, and you're wanting to get an inexpensive gift for your kids and introduce them into this so they can appreciate
that is
the history.
These are probably sold more to, you got hardcore collectors that want everything.
Right.
And you've got parents that want to show your kids what they, and this
is what I played
has the
when
disc
you were
controller,
young,
so it's very similar to the original console.
Wow.
It's smaller and lighter, but it plays a lot like the original game. It's got 61 built-in games. So you've got classics like Astro Smash, Night Stalker, Star Strike, World Championship Baseball. They dropped the Major League license, of course.
Right, so now they just got to call it. Yeah.
They're not going to spend that kind of money on something like
no
this.
kidding.
But you've also got unreleased games, Blowout, Brickout, Deep Pockets, Hard Hat, Space Cadet, and Takeover, which were originally programmed back in the day, but that were never released.
Right.
So you can actually have them all built in here, which this is truly phenomenal. So you've got 61 games for, anywhere from 10 to 20, 30 bucks.
$20, yeah.
Back in the day, you would go buy a new game, 30, 40 bucks.
Sure.
For one game that now you can get 61 in one,
it's amazing.
one console. So anyway, this is really cool. I highly recommend it. This is better than the ColecoVision Flashback. The ColecoVision, this has better controls and probably a little better sound emulation and stuff. So highly recommend it.
Well, I've got some time to kill today. At midnight tonight, I'm going to be very busy.
Isn't that what we're kind of doing in general?
Yes, we're killing time. Right. No, but after the podcast, I want to kind of fire up some of these homebrew games because that's really cool to me that people are still developing
phenomenal.
that.
And what's interesting is the games they're making now are more elaborate. Like they figured out the hardware better. And they're putting more chips. I guess I'm not a technical guy, but they're making more, putting more chips or whatever you would call it in the cartridge. The cartridges,
so the processing power and everything is more. And
they've had all this time to figure out the concept, and they're not on time deadline. And they're doing this as a hobby, so they can put as much time into it as they want. So they're coming out with these incredibly elaborate games.
Well, I'm definitely going to try that out. And I mentioned at midnight tonight, kind of getting back to some recent stuff that's going on, but tonight at midnight, the new DLC for Call of Duty comes out, and everyone that knows me knows that I'm really big, especially into Call of Duty Zombies, which is really big. So tonight at midnight, the new Call of Duty Black Ops 3 DLC drops called Eclipse, and it has not only 4 new maps for the multiplayer, but it also has 1 new zombie map, which is really cool. Now, anyone that's never tried Call of Duty Zombies, sometimes when I mention Call of Duty or they see me online playing Call of Duty, they're like, oh my gosh, Call of Duty. There's these negative connotations with if you're a Call of Duty player.
It's become so ubiquitous. People just it's too popular.
It's too popular.
So
there's some kickback to that. There's it's like that.
And a lot of kids play it.
A lot of kids play it. A lot of punk kids play it.
Trash talkers.
But but that's mainly the multiplayer side of things. It's almost the Call of Duty Zombies community and player base is totally different than the multiplayer. It's almost like 2 different games in a way. And the zombie experience is a 4-player co-op team-based strategy game. Not like the multiplayer where you can go in there lone wolf Rambo on your own and be a punk and play your own thing. The zombie experience is very much a 4-player co-op. You can play it solo, but it's much more fun to play with 3 other people. And some of my most fun gaming nights have been playing zombies with 3 other people and trying to see what round you can get to.
Even more fun than Hot Pockets roulette?
Well, let's not get ridiculous. Nothing really is almost on that level. It's like 1A, 1B.
Right,
okay,
gotcha.
It's very close.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm really excited about that. As soon as that drops, I will be all over zombies, and I really hope people give it a shot. I'm working on a lot of Reapers, trying to get them to try it. Ruski and a couple other people in the Reapers I've been working on hard to get in there and try it, but it's just so much fun. It's so deep. The maps are so well designed. There's so many different things. And you talk about Easter eggs. There are more Easter eggs in these zombie maps. Songs you can unlock. Things if you do in a certain order, you can unlock this certain weapon and that certain power-up. It takes months really to really fully get the experience of these maps. So I'm very excited about that. So starting at midnight tonight, another way, I mentioned outlawcurtis at gmail.com, and I mentioned HoldSquare.com and so forth. My Twitter channel is also outlawcurtis. So anytime I'm broadcasting, if you want to subscribe or pay attention, I've been broadcasting more and more recently, and I will be broadcasting tonight some of the new DLC that comes out with this. And that way you can kind of see, if this looks like something you're interested in. I've already been broadcasting some Dark Souls 3 stuff. So the new Twitch interface with PlayStation 4 has been really fun. A lot of people have been broadcasting their gameplay a lot. So
very cool.
That's really made it fun. So anyway, one other thing that I wanted to mention that's kind of come out this week, we were talking about news and breaking things that have come out, but Uncharted 4 is obviously a huge franchise for PlayStation. It's
Right.
one of their seminal franchises. And some of the things I'm hearing about Uncharted 4 have really got me excited. Now, first of all, again,
What
Naughty
did you call
Dog.
it? Unfarted chore?
No,
Oh.
I did not say that.
So don't say that
and
fast.
I'm going to go back to the tape and make sure I didn't
Okay.
say it. But I'm pretty sure I didn't.
All right.
But no, Uncharted 4 is made by Naughty Dog, which again, Naughty Dog, Gearbox, Rockstar, From Software, the 3 or 4 software developers that you just throw your money at and say, give me whatever you want.
Right.
That kind of deal. You know,
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. You don't even have to tell me or show me screenshots. I know they're good enough developers to you
Right.
just throw your money at them. So, Naughty Dog, it's going to be great, but they've even got all these different things they're adding into Uncharted 4 that have not been in the series before. It's always been a very linear series, tight storytelling. They want to
Yeah.
keep you on this path. But they're making Uncharted 4 a little more open world exploration, so you can kind of
Right.
do things a couple different ways. And they've added some Jeep vehicle sequences that they've never had before. So using the Jeep, some people have previewed it and said this is a really great element that's been added to it. So everything I'm hearing up to this date, Dark Souls 3 has been my game of the year. But when Uncharted 4 comes out, man, I think you always Uncharted pretty much always wins game of the year, and it's sounding like it's going to be amazing. So
Sounds cool, man.
that's definitely going to be one of those that when we have the PS4 game night, that's going to be one of those that you're going to have to get on the PS4 and try. So really can't wait for that. Before we wrap up here, a couple more things we need to talk about. First of all, next week we're real excited about our Reaper convention, our very first ever Reaper Con, which we're having right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We've got all these different members, Malvicious, Grilled Nuts, Codeine, Narvard, all these different guys from all over the world. We've got people coming over from England. We're all going to get together. We're going to go to the National Video Game Museum. We're going to hang out. We may go see Ratchet and Clank, the new video game-based movie.
Sounds
go
cool.
go out to dinner. Hopefully you can join us.
I made sure that I would be out of town that weekend.
I know you absolutely did, right? You planned
No, I made these plans way in advance. Retropalooza Houston is actually the end of this month. And I've got a booth there. It's Saturday and Sunday. It's like April 30th and May 1st, I believe.
You gonna bring back some good stuff to talk about?
Let's hope so. Hopefully I'll have some finds. And, they have to be cheap.
Right. They have to be bargains.
Yeah.
Clearance.
And but I'll have a booth there. I'll be selling, autographing my books or whatever.
Have you been to this particular show?
This is their first one in Houston.
Oh, okay.
They've done 3 before in Arlington, Dallas-Fort Worth area.
I remember that one.
And so it's a great show. Jay and Billy putting on the Game Chasers.
Oh, yeah.
You probably seen their stuff on YouTube. Great guys, funny guys. Really cool show. They do a good job of putting together a good
Right.
show, bringing out a lot of people. There's
All
going to be
right,
YouTube celebs and whatnot.
I may give you a few bucks, have you bring me back a T-shirt or something. I always like the
We'll see
T-shirts.
about that.
We'll see.
I can mark it up.
See if you can
I'll
work
buy
that-
one for 15 and sell it to you for 20.
Sell it to me for 20, make a few
Right.
bucks off of it.
Yeah.
How sweet. That's very
Yeah.
nice. Speaking of making money, the other thing we've got going on right now that's ablaze within the HoldSquare community is our fundraising raffle that we've got going. Now, you talked about some prizes you got last week. I want to show one thing that I've got here. This is the legendary Butt Stallion T-shirt that I mentioned. Now, Butt Stallion is something that was a character in Borderlands 2 that Handsome Jack referred to. And this is actually really a nice shirt. This is going to go in one of the prize packs. So I wanted to kind of show this off and let people know that, once again, you can buy a $10 raffle ticket, and you can buy as many as you want. So you want to buy 4 tickets and spend $40, that's great. You want to buy 100, go right ahead,
So
spend
the drawing
$1,000.
is going to be at some future
Basically, what we're doing right now is we've got the forum post up now where we have 3 options for people to vote. Okay, if we reach our goal of $1,500 of funds brought in, I am either going to shave my head during the podcast, or Jordan or you are going to shave it.
I'm not.
You're not going to.
I'm not going to shave your head.
I think Jordan would
Yeah.
relish the
Jordan's a
opportunity
girl.
to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really want you touching my
No.
head. That's an intimate
Yeah, I'm good.
thing. I mean, Brandon and Zach maybe they'd be okay with that, but
Occasional
not me.
fist bump, but no shave.
Right,
We're
occasional
not going to shave
fist,
each other's
yeah,
heads.
fist bump and
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah. So either A, shave my head, B, dye my hair pink. Which, thanks to Keebler, and shout out to Keebler, she has got a turn the ginger pink.
Well, yeah, I was about to say your hair is already red, so just add some white and it'll turn pink.
No, I think she's
really
going straight
way?
up neon.
Oh, okay,
It's like something,
okay.
flashing and stuff. So thanks to Keebler, that is gaining some momentum. It's gaining a groundswell of support on our website. So right now I feel like that's probably the leader in the clubhouse.
Right.
And then the third option would be me dressing up in drag as Mad Moxie from Gearbox, one of the female protagonists in that game. So and doing a podcast sitting next to you dressed up as Mad Moxie.
Let's hope for the pink hair, I guess.
Right, I guess. Yeah, the other ones don't sound too good. So if we reach our community goal of $1,500 taken in during this 30-day contest, then we will assault me in some way, and my humiliation will be purchased. And then Nick, Angels Vamp, one of our members, mentioned if we reach $2,000, would I do all three? And I am confirming on camera that yes, I'll do all three if we.
How can you have so your bald head will be pink?
I've thought about this. This is how we're going to do this. First, the very first week, then this will be a 3-week process. The very first week, we go with the pink hair, right? Okay. Second week, shave the pink hair off, right? Third week, wig, drag, right? So
no wig.
This is a.
Let's go bald and drag.
Bald and drag, but then you don't think the.
I don't know. We'll see.
She doesn't have pink hair. She has long, darker hair. So we'll figure out a way to do it. But I'm a good sport. I have a good sense of humor, and I want to be able to do some of these things with the podcast and the website.
Right.
So I'm willing to
make a fool of yourself.
Make a fool of myself and have it on camera because the memes will start popping up and they're eternal.
Right.
They're in the cloud.
Yeah.
Once it gets in the cloud, it's over with.
Yeah.
So it'll be around forever. So anyway, so go to the website. I'm going to extend voting until this Friday. So until this Friday, you can vote. So get on there and let your voice be heard. And then starting on Friday, this is going to go for 30 days. And I'll announce it on the website. We're going to have this 30-day window where people can purchase these raffle tickets.
If you go to HoldSquare.com, what do you need to click on to find this?
To HoldSquare.com, you'll click on the forum button, and that will take you to our forums. And you can look at the recently added things. You can go through that. Or you can go to our community news section, which our community news is where we do all the big announcements
there's a header
and everything.
That says community news.
Community and forum news. Yeah, you go right to it, and that's where you'll find it. And I'll put links on the front page as well.
Yeah,
so
I was about to say that might be a good idea to put a link on the front page.
Links are always on the front page,
Right.
so people that are not super familiar with our site can get to it. So anyway, we're going to use PayPal for that, and a lot of this is going to go also towards our new website, which is going to premiere June 1st. So we're real excited about the new website.
Very cool.
And some of the new stuff we've got going. So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap things up, Brett. We always like to wrap up with the show and tell segment. So what do you got? What do you got with the show and tell segment this week?
Well, I have a truly incredible item to show you. Now, at first glance, this will appear to be a relatively scarce item, but not truly incredible.
Right.
Once I dig into it, you'll see just how incredible it is.
Okay.
So let's clear all this crap out of the way.
What? We don't.
I mean, these wonderful collectibles.
We didn't.
These wonderful, amazing.
This is your gaming. You are an all-time gaming champ. This is your trophy. How can you just push this aside?
I didn't win it. Somebody just bought it for me.
You are quite the winner because it's got the controller on top of it.
When I cry at night, I look at that. It makes me feel better.
Right. No, I understand.
All right. So what I have.
Clear all this off here. Mario and Luigi getting just pushed to the side.
What I have is an Atari 2600. Excuse me. I've never said Atari 2600 before.
Yeah, you never have. Right.
An Atari 2600 Junior in the box. But the fact that it's in the box is pretty cool. But the fact that it.
Where do you
not talk? The fact
You're
that
having
it has
problems.
never been used, it has never been opened, is what's truly cool about it. I found this at Goodwill about around the same time I found that boxed NES for $20.
Unbelievable.
It was
Where do you
$20
get
on the
this
shelf.
stuff, man?
It's insane. It's really. It used to be a lot easier to, like 10, 20 years ago, it was easier to find stuff at thrift stores. Really hard to find thrift stores, really good stuff at thrift stores today because they're so picked over.
Right.
And even Goodwill has an auction site where they'll put gaming stuff online. Anyway,
Really?
you can
They do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can still find things at thrift stores if you're persistent.
Right.
Anyway, about 5 or 6 years ago, I found this Atari 2600 Junior that has never been used, never been played, never. I took a peek at it and kind of shuffled some things around just to see what I had when I was buying it.
Right.
But it has never been truly unboxed.
Right. Wow.
Until now.
Until now.
Yeah. I did peek a little bit, lift, but
so as
I'm going to unbox it.
So it's dropping in value literally by the
as we
second.
speak.
Yes,
Yeah.
as we speak.
So it is just a little background before I, open it up. The Atari 2600, the original Atari VCS came out in 1977. Later, after the great video game crash of 1983, sales obviously declined tremendously. Well, in 85, 86, when the NES was coming out in America, Atari got back in the game console-wise. They reintroduced the system. They'd never truly gone away. They just reintroduced the system in a cheaper, smaller format as the Atari 2600 Junior in 1986. This particular one, let's take a look. Let's open it up.
The Atari 2600 was my first console system. I mean, that was the first. I mean, Pele Soccer, Video Pinball. Those were my jams.
Well, to
Combat.
Me,
I mean, those were my jams right
Incredible system. I love it. Kaboom, Pitfall,
Phoenix.
Pitfall. So many incredible
We met
names.
The creator, David Crane of Pitfall.
Right. The creator.
Not
creator.
One
of the creators.
Not a creator.
Right.
The creator.
Right.
So, got to be clear on that.
Yeah. So
of course, because that would be ridiculous to say a creator. It'd be
no
stupid.
doubt. It'd be like not knowing who Ralph Baer was.
Right. Ralph Baer, you worked it into the broadcast.
I did. I had to.
We just have a couple of minutes left there. You worked it into the broadcast.
Let's get to it.
Okay.
All right. So this is Atari. Oop, I just broke it.
Yep, there it is.
So,
they just dropped $50
Atari
right there.
2600 Junior. Here's the console. The little plastic tape over the metal to keep it, pristine has not been removed. The paperwork, if you can see this,
I got to look at this for a second.
It's still in the box where the people in the factory put it.
Unbelievable.
If you go down a level, like I said, I peeked in here a little bit.
Right.
If you go down a level, you'll see that the joystick is still has the factory cord on it, wrapped up. The little switch is still in the bubble wrap. I haven't even popped any of the bubbles. That's how pristine this is. And it's got the power adapter in the box, and it's got the little cord here to hook it to your. Why am I not thinking about I can't think of the word for this. See, it's all those factors.
The adapter.
Yeah. No, the adapter is like the what you plug into the wall. This is the power adapter.
Right.
This is like the switch.
Oh,
the
right.
UHF switch.
Right.
Sorry. God, long day. UHF switch. The cord for that is still in the package. Everything. Not sure why this is open. Did you get in this box overnight?
No comment.
It came open.
No comment.
It's still wrapped up factory.
Amazing.
Anyway, so there's an unboxing of Atari 2600 Junior. Something you probably don't see every day.
That is unbelievable. That is really cool. We may have to hook that up and play. I told you before.
We are not hooking it up and play it. I have a perfectly good Atari 2600 over there.
Okay, we can hook up a different one. So what? Yeah. So is this just going to go on the shelf? Is that?
This goes boxed up and back up on the shelf, just as sort of a museum piece. And
right.
Before I, go to that arcade in the sky, I will probably donate this to the National Video Game Museum.
You're not going to be buried with it or something?
No.
You can't. I don't think you can take it with you.
Just my Flash costume. No, I've actually told Carice, my wife Carice, very lovely lady, I've told her, if I go before you, don't trick up my funeral with video games and superheroes and stuff. I don't have much dignity now, but I want to go out with some level of dignity.
I want a Star Wars funeral.
Okay, that's cool.
I mean,
all right.
They bring my coffin down. They have lightsabers, kind of the tunnel as you go through.
And your coffin's just floating. There's nothing.
Right. Yeah, the hologram.
That'd be kind of like Star Trek. Kind of have a minute.
Well, yeah, but they have no. They have the speeders that float.
Yeah.
So it'd be like
they actually had a
speeder.
Coffin in Star Trek that moved like that.
Oh yeah, Spock, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then the torpedo, they shoot him out, right?
Right.
It turns into the Genesis, or it hits the Genesis planet.
Yeah.
Right.
So it revives him. Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
Anywho, so this will probably be a donation someday, but that'll be a long time from now. Hopefully.
Wow. Well, that's amazing, man. And I got to say too, your shirt is a great.
Yeah,
great
Target
choice
special.
today.
Once these went on clearance, I picked up one.
Well, I try to wear a different T-shirt kind of every week, as something different from my conventions or concerts or something. This week I wanted to kind of color it up a little bit more, jazz it up. I got my Rolling Stones T-shirt.
Stones rule.
Yeah, we were both at the concert last year, right?
Incredible show at the stadium in Arlington, which is between Dallas and Fort Worth. Just a phenomenal concert, making the boys act like they're in their 20s. I mean, Mick Jagger's moving all over the stage. His voice is still strong. Charlie Watts is back there keeping the beat.
Right.
Ron Wood and Keith Richards on guitar are just incredible.
Well, it was definitely one of my bucket list things.
Yeah.
Seeing the Stones in concert.
Absolutely.
As you know, we're not going to have many more opportunities probably to see them.
Because we're getting old.
It does not have anything to do with us, our ages. We'll have plenty of other...
Keith Richards is going to live forever. He's like a cockroach.
Look,
you can't get rid of Keith Richards.
Somebody said the perfect thing to me, that these guys, they look like, when you look at them on stage, make no mistake, they look like they've got one foot in the grave, the other foot on a banana peel. I mean, they look like they're about to fall over during the concert, but they sound amazing.
Let's try to be a little more respectful for the Stones.
I keep it real. That's what the kids say. I'm just keeping it real. They look like death eating a cracker, but
Look,
they sound amazing.
If you put them in suits and stuck them in church, they would look like normal old people. But just because they're on the rock and roll stage, you have to make these horrible comments.
All right. Well, I thought it was great. And the fact that they're in their late 60s and 70s is amazing. They're still up there performing.
Incredible. Great band.
Yeah, but it was great. But anyway, hey, guys, thanks a lot for watching our number 4 HoldSquare podcast today of Season 1. We really appreciate you guys watching. We hope that you'll give us a subscribe or a like on our YouTube channel. And check us out on Facebook and Twitter at HoldSquare Gaming. Also, HoldSquare.com is our website. Brett has a website, too.
Check out BrettWeissWords.com, and you can find my YouTube channel, Brett Weiss.
Okay. And then also, please check me out, Outlaw Curtis, at Twitch as well. I'll be broadcasting some live gameplay from the new Call of Duty DLC tonight. And, of course, next week, we'll check back in. We'll let you know what's coming up again with our fundraiser, where we're at, where the voting ended up being, if we decided to turn the ginger pink, if we decided to do drag or shave my head. So all those and more next week on our number 5 podcast. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Game on.